Welcome. Do not expect comfort here. Truth was never gentle, and power was never kind. The world you live in is not ruled by morality, but by perception, fear, and control. Those who pretend otherwise are already being ruled. Men are quick to praise virtue, yet faster to betray it when survival is at stake. They will follow you when you are strong, admire you when you succeed, and abandon you the moment you appear weak. This is not cynicism. This is human nature. A wise ruler does not ask how the world should be. He studies the world as it is. He learns when to be merciful, and when mercy becomes a weakness, when to appear virtuous, and when virtue must step aside for necessity. Power is not seized by the innocent, nor protected by the honest alone. It is secured by those who understand fear better than love, strategy better than hope, and reality better than dreams. If you wish to survive among wolves, you must learn to think like one silent, patient, and decisive. This is not a lesson in goodness. This is a lesson in rule. Listen carefully. What follows was never meant for the sheep. Life is not fair, and it was never designed to be. Those who wait for fairness wait forever, while those who understand reality quietly take control. From the beginning of civilization, power has never belonged to the most moral, the most honest, or the most kind. It has belonged to those who understood the rules beneath the rules. The world operates like a jungle, not a courtroom. Strength survives, weakness is consumed, and neutrality is an illusion invented by the comfortable. Human beings like to believe they live by laws, ethics, and shared values. But these are decorations placed on top of raw instinct. When pressure arrives, when survival or advantage is at stake, instinct always wins. Fear moves people faster than reason. Desire blinds them more effectively than lies. Loyalty dissolves the moment it becomes inconvenient. This is not a flaw in humanity. It is its design. To deny this is to become a victim of it. In the jungle, the sheep believe safety comes from numbers. They follow paths already walked, trust promises spoken loudly, and mistake silence for peace. They assume danger announces itself. It does not. Predators observe quietly. They study patterns, weaknesses, and timing. They do not rush. They wait until resistance is minimal and reward is maximum. The jungle does not punish this behavior. It rewards Italiano. The same rule governs human society, only hidden behind polite language and social norms. Fairness is a story told to maintain order, not to distribute power. It keeps the masses calm, hopeful, and obedient. While people argue about what is right, others decide what is effective. History does not remember who was fair. It remembers who won. Kingdoms were not built by consensus. Empires were not preserved by kindness. Every lasting structure of power was forged by understanding reality, not wishing it were different. Those who cling to fairness often believe they will be protected by it. They assume effort guarantees reward, honesty guarantees trust, and goodness guarantees safety. This belief is comforting, but comfort is dangerous. The world does not reward effort. It rewards results. It does not honor honesty. It exploits Italiano. It does not protect the good. It tests them until they break. To survive, one must replace expectation with observation. In a jungle, no creature apologizes for survival. The lion does not feel guilt for hunting. The wolf does not hesitate, because the deer is gentle. Nature is cruel only to those who expect mercy. The same principle applies to power. Those who hesitate out of moral purity are overtaken by those who act with clarity. Those who wait for permission are replaced by those who take initiative. Those who expect fairness are ruled by those who expect nothing. Understanding this does not require becoming cruel, but it does require becoming realistic. There's a difference between unnecessary brutality and necessary strength. The mistake many make is confusing morality with strategy. Morality without power is decoration. Strategy without awareness is suicide. A wise individual learns to balance appearance with action, values with necessity, patience with decisiveness. People respect strength not because they admire it, but because they fear its absence. Weakness invites interference. Uncertainty invites manipulation. The world probes constantly, testing boundaries. When it senses hesitation, it advances. When it senses resolve, it pauses. This is why strength must sometimes be displayed even when it is not used. The appearance of power often prevents the need to exercise it. In the jungle of society, vulnerability is currency for predators. They look for emotional dependence, moral rigidity, and predictable behavior. These traits make people controllable. Fair-minded individuals often reveal their limits openly. They announce what they will never do, believing it proves integrity. In reality, it provides a roadmap for exploitation. The wise keep their limits private and their intentions flexible. The belief in fairness also creates resentment. When people expect justice and do not receive it, they become bitter, confused, and angry. This emotional state weakens judgment. It distracts from adaptation. Instead of asking how to win, they ask why the world is unjust. The jungle does not ask permission to change. It adapts constantly. Weather shifts, food disappears, threats evolve. Survival belongs to those who adjust without complaint. Power operates the same way. Conditions change. Alliances shift. What worked yesterday may fail tomorrow. Those bound by rigid ideals break under pressure. Those guided by awareness evolve. To understand that life is unfair is not to surrender to despair, but to awaken from illusion. It frees the mind from false expectations. It sharpens perception. Once fairness is abandoned as a requirement, strategy becomes clearer. Decisions become faster. Emotions become tools rather than obstacles. One stops asking what should happen and starts planning what will happen. The jungle respects preparation, not hope. Hope is passive. Preparation is active. Those who rely on fairness hope others will behave well. Those who understand reality prepare for betrayal, resistance, and opposition. Preparation does not make one paranoid. It makes one ready. The difference between survival and collapse often lies in readiness for the worst, not belief in the best. Power favors those who see humans as they are, not as they pretend to be. People desire advantage, recognition, and security. They disguise these desires with language, but they never remove them. A wise observer listens not to words, but to patterns. Who benefits? Who loses? Who stays silent? Who acts quickly? These signals reveal more than declarations ever could. The jungle rewards decisiveness. Hesitation signals weakness. In moments of uncertainty, people follow those who appear confident, even if they are wrong. Confidence creates momentum. Momentum creates authority. Authority creates obedience. Fairness rarely creates momentum. Clarity does. Those who rise are not those without fear, but those who manage it. Fear sharpens instincts. It forces awareness. It demands preparation. The mistake is allowing fear to paralyze rather than discipline. In the jungle, fear keeps creatures alert. In society, it keeps leaders cautious and strategists precise. Life's unfairness also means opportunity is uneven. Some are born closer to power, others further away. Complaining about starting positions wastes energy. Understanding terrain creates pathways. The jungle does not give every animal the same strengths. Each survives by mastering its own. Some run, some hide, some hunt. The failure comes from imitation, not limitation. Fairness suggests equality of outcome. Reality offers only equality of risk. Everyone faces uncertainty, loss, and threat. How one responds determines position. Those who adapt rise, those who resist reality fall. To accept that life is not fair is to remove blindfolds. It allows one to move deliberately rather than emotionally. It teaches when to advance and when to withdraw, when to speak and when silence is power, when to show virtue and when necessity overrides it. The jungle has no villains and no heroes, only survivors and the forgotten. Power remembers outcomes, not intentions. Those who understand this do not waste time defending their purity. They focus on effectiveness. They learn the terrain, read the players, and move accordingly. They do not curse the darkness. They navigate it. Following is comfortable because it removes responsibility. When a person follows, decisions are already made. Paths are already chosen, and failure can be blamed on someone else. Leadership, on the other hand, demands ownership. It requires standing alone in uncertainty, acting without permission, and accepting consequences without excuses. This is why most people prefer to follow rather than lead. Obedience feels safer than initiative, even when it quietly erodes freedom. Sheep do not lack intelligence. They lack direction of their own. They move together because separation feels dangerous. Consensus gives them reassurance, not truth. When many people agree on something, it appears correct, even when it is wrong. This illusion of safety is powerful. It allows individuals to silence doubt and surrender judgment. Leaders are not created by agreement. They are created by clarity. They see direction before others feel comfortable enough to acknowledge it. Those who shape the rules are rarely the loudest. They observe while others speak. They listen while others argue. While the crowd debates morality and intention, leaders focus on structure and outcome. They understand that rules are not permanent truths, but tools. Tools can be redesigned, bent, or replaced. Followers treat rules as sacred. Leaders treat them as adjustable mechanisms. Independent thinking is dangerous, which is why it is discouraged. Societies reward conformity because conformity is predictable. Predictability makes control easy. Those who think differently disrupt systems, not by force, but by unpredictability. A single individual who refuses to follow expectations creates uncertainty. And uncertainty threatens authority. This is why leaders are often criticized before they are admired. Their vision is misunderstood until results appear. Sheep wait for validation before acting. They look for approval, signals, and permission. Wolves act when timing is right, not when approval is granted. They trust their assessment more than public opinion. This does not make them reckless. It makes them decisive. They gather information quietly, then move with confidence. By the time others react, the position is already taken. Leadership is not about morality in the abstract. It is about responsibility in reality. A leader must make choices that will be judged harshly, often without full information. The follower demands perfect certainty before moving. The leader accepts imperfect conditions and acts anyway. History favors those who move first, not those who wait to be certain. Rules exist to manage the many, not to empower the few. When individuals rise above the crowd, they inevitably encounter resistance. The masses defend the rules because the rules protect them from chaos. The leader challenges rules because the rules limit expansion. This conflict is inevitable. Those who wish to lead must accept being misunderstood, criticized, and even hated before being respected. Following also dulls perception. When people rely on instructions, they stop observing patterns. They react instead of anticipating. Leadership requires pattern recognition. It demands seeing where things are moving, not where they are. The wolf studies the environment constantly, noting shifts in behavior, resources, and threats. The sheep focuses only on the immediate step ahead. True authority does not come from position alone. It comes from competence, displayed consistently. People follow those who appear to know what they are doing, especially in moments of uncertainty. Confidence, even when silent, attracts obedience. Doubt repels it. This is why leaders often project certainty, even when they feel none. Appearance stabilizes the group, while decisions are formed. The fear of standing out keeps many trapped. Visibility attracts judgment. Judgment invites risk. But invisibility guarantees insignificance. Those who never challenge direction remain dependent on others for movement. Leadership requires embracing exposure. It requires accepting that every move will be watched, interpreted, and criticized. Strength is built by surviving this pressure, not avoiding it. Sheep measure success by acceptance. Wolves measure success by position. Acceptance is fleeting. Position is durable. Crowds change their loyalties quickly. Power remains where structure supports it. Leaders build systems, alliances, and leverage. Followers build approval and familiarity. When conditions shift, approval disappears. Structure remains. Thinking independently does not mean rejecting all advice. It means filtering advice through one's own judgment. Leaders listen broadly but decide narrowly. Followers decide broadly by consensus and act narrowly within limits. This inversion keeps power centralized among those willing to decide alone. Those who shape rules understand timing. They know when to challenge and when to comply temporarily. Open rebellion is rarely effective. Subtle influence reshapes systems more efficiently. The wolf does not attack the entire flock. It isolates moments of advantage. Leadership often looks like patience until the right moment arrives. The greatest danger of following is not obedience, but stagnation. When people accept existing structures as permanent, innovation dies. Progress has always come from those who question norms and reimagined possibilities. Every system that exists was once created by someone who refused to follow what came before. Leadership also demands emotional control. The crowd reacts emotionally to events. Leaders respond strategically. Emotion clouds judgment and narrows perspective. Detachment allows analysis. This does not mean lack of feeling, but mastery over it. The ability to pause, assess, and choose deliberately separates leaders from followers. Power shifts toward those who define reality rather than accept it. Language, narratives, and framing shape perception. Leaders understand this and use it carefully. They do not argue every point. They set the frame in which points are argued. Followers debate within frames they did not design. To lead is to accept isolation. Decisions separate you from those who avoid them. Clarity distances you from those who prefer comfort. But isolation is temporary. Once results appear, distance becomes authority. People trust outcomes more than intentions. Those who wait to be chosen rarely are. Leadership is taken, not granted. The moment one stops asking for permission and starts acting with purpose, hierarchy shifts. Others adjust naturally to confidence and direction. In the end, the choice is simple. Follow paths designed by others and inherit their limitations, or shape direction and accept the burden of responsibility. One offers comfort without control. The other offers control without comfort. The world belongs to those willing to choose the second. Good intentions have never been enough to protect anyone. They comfort the mind, but leave the position exposed. In a world governed by competition, influence, and scarcity, moral softness becomes an invitation rather than a shield. People do not exploit others because they are evil. They do so because opportunity exists. When kindness is not paired with strength, it becomes predictable, and predictability is exploitable. Morality, when rigid, creates blind spots. Those who refuse to cross certain lines announce their limits in advance. They believe this makes them honorable. In reality, it makes them readable. Others quickly learn where pressure will succeed. The individual who insists on being good at all costs is often surrounded by those willing to let them be good while they themselves remain effective. History is filled with leaders who fell not because they were cruel, but because they were hesitant. They confused mercy with restraint and restraint with wisdom. Mercy has value only when it is chosen from a position of dominance. Even freely it is mistaken for weakness. Power respects boundaries, not intentions. When boundaries are soft, they are crossed. The world does not reward purity, it tests it. Those who rely on moral innocence as protection are repeatedly disappointed. They expect others to play by the same rules they do. This expectation is their vulnerability. Strategy requires assuming that others will act in their own interest, not in accordance with shared values. To plan otherwise is to gamble blindly. Being effective does not require abandoning ethics, but it does require prioritizing outcomes over appearances. Results shape reality. Apologies do not. Explanations do not. Intentions do not. Only consequences endure. Those who understand this focus on what actions produce stability, security, and advantage rather than how those actions will be judged in the moment. Softness invites dominance because it signals avoidance of conflict. Conflict is uncomfortable, but it is also clarifying. Those willing to engage define limits. Those who avoid it surrender control. In every relationship, whether political, professional, or personal, power flows toward the side more comfortable with tension. The one who can endure discomfort longer gains leverage. Fear is often misunderstood as something negative. In truth, fear is a stabilizing force when used correctly. It sets boundaries where love alone fails. People may admire kindness, but they obey strength. This is not cruelty. It is psychology. Fear of consequence restrains behavior more reliably than appeals to conscience. A system without consequences is not moral. It is naive. Those who insist on being liked over being respected sacrifice authority. Approval is unstable. It shifts with mood, trends, and advantage. Respect is grounded in consistency and capability. When people know there are consequences for crossing you, behavior changes. When they know you will always forgive, behavior repeats. Effectiveness requires clarity. Moral softness often clouds decision-making with emotional noise. Sympathy delays action. Guilt weakens resolve. These emotions are human, but unmanaged, they become liabilities. Leaders who hesitate in decisive moments create chaos. Those who act decisively, even when criticized, create order. The desire to be seen as good often masks a deeper fear of rejection. Many choose moral posturing because it feels safer than confrontation, but safety built on avoidance is temporary. Eventually, reality forces a reckoning. When boundaries are never enforced, they collapse. Power is not maintained through constant aggression, but through credible threat. The knowledge that force could be applied, even if rarely used, stabilizes systems. Laws work not because they are written, but because punishment exists. Remove enforcement and the law becomes suggestion. Those who master effectiveness understand timing. They know when to be harsh and when to be gentle. They do not confuse consistency with rigidity. Flexibility allows survival. A rigid moral code applied without context becomes self-destructive. Wisdom lies in adaptation, not absolutes. People often judge actions without understanding pressures. They condemn outcomes they have never had to secure. This judgment is irrelevant to survival. Those responsible for maintaining stability cannot afford moral luxury. They must choose between imperfect options, knowing inaction is itself a choice with consequences. Moral softness also attracts manipulation. Manipulators seek those who fear appearing harsh. They exploit empathy, guilt, and obligation. They frame their demands as moral appeals. Those unable to say no are slowly drained of agency. Strength protects empathy by giving it limits. Effectiveness creates space for mercy. Once control is established, generosity becomes meaningful rather than desperate. When one is secure, kindness is respected. When one is weak, kindness is consumed. The world is not divided between good and evil, but between prepared and unprepared. Prepared individuals anticipate resistance and plan responses. Unprepared individuals assume cooperation and hope for the best. Hope is not a strategy. To be effective is to accept responsibility for outcomes rather than hide behind intention. It is to act with awareness of consequences and willingness to bear them. This is not moral corruption. It is maturity. Those who survive understand that ethics without power are fragile. Power without restraint is dangerous. Balance comes from knowing when softness serves strategy and when it undermines it. The mistake is not kindness. The mistake is kindness without teeth. In a competitive world, gentleness must be protected by strength, or it will be extinguished by those who understand reality better. Visibility is a choice, not a requirement. Those who survive longest are rarely the most noticeable. Power favors those who understand when to step forward and when to disappear. Blending in is not weakness, it is camouflage. It allows observation without interference, learning without exposure, and preparation without resistance. The individual who is always visible becomes predictable. Predictability invites targeting. Calmness is often mistaken for passivity. In reality, calmness is control. The one who remains composed while others react emotionally gathers information while the environment reveals itself. Noise exposes intention. Silence conceals it. Those who speak constantly reveal their desires, fears, and limits. Those who listen quietly learn where leverage exists. Blending in does not mean losing identity. It means suspending expression until advantage is secured. A strategist does not announce their plan while it is forming. They allow others to underestimate them. Underestimation is a powerful shield. When people assume there is no threat, they lower their guard. This creates openings that aggression never could. Timing determines success more than force. Acting too early invites resistance. Acting too late invites hero. The skilled observer waits until conditions align. They do not rush to prove strength. They wait until strength can be applied with maximum effect and minimal cost. This patience separates the effective from the impulsive. Crowds are emotionally reactive. They respond to fear, excitement, and outrage. An individual who mirrors this behavior becomes part of the noise. The one who remains detached becomes the observer. Detachment creates perspective. Perspective creates advantage. From a distance, patterns emerge that are invisible in chaos. Outsmarting the pack does not require dominance over everyone. It requires influence over the right moments. Small, precise actions often shift outcomes more than large displays of power. A quiet adjustment in timing, alliance, or information can redirect an entire situation. Those obsessed with visibility miss these subtle opportunities. Adaptability is survival. The environment is always changing, and rigid strategies collapse under pressure. The individual who blends in remains flexible. They adjust behavior, tone, and posture to suit conditions. This is not deception. It is intelligence. Nature rewards those who adapt, not those who insist on consistency at all costs. Alertness is the true mark of strength. The calm observer notices shifts before they become crises. Changes in tone, movement, silence, and reaction reveal more than words. The unobservant react after damage is done. The observant respond before danger materializes. Strategic invisibility also protects from unnecessary conflict. Not every battle is worth fighting. Energy is finite. The wise conserve it for moments that matter. They allow minor insults and distractions to pass without response. This frustrates those seeking reaction and preserves focus for meaningful action. When the time comes to act, decisiveness must replace silence. Camouflage is temporary. Once conditions are favorable, hesitation becomes costly. The transition from observer to actor must be swift and precise. This sudden shift often shocks opponents who mistook patience for weakness. Control over emotion is essential. Emotional reactions expose priorities. Anger reveals insecurity. Excitement reveals ambition. Fear reveals vulnerability. The disciplined individual acknowledges emotion internally but does not broadcast it. This emotional opacity prevents manipulation. Blending in also provides access. People speak freely around those they do not perceive as threats. Information flows toward the quiet, not the confrontational. Knowledge gathered passively is often more accurate than information demanded aggressively. Outsmarting does not require brilliance. It requires restraint. Many opportunities are lost because of impatience. The desire to act quickly often overrides the need to act correctly. Restraint allows evaluation. Evaluation prevents error. The pack respects strength but fears unpredictability. Predictable power can be managed. Unpredictable power cannot. Blending in one delays classification. Opponents do not know whether you are harmless or dangerous. This uncertainty protects position. Positioning matters more than confrontation. Standing in the right place at the right time reduces effort. Those who rush into conflict compensate for poor positioning with force. Those who position well require little force at all. The quiet strategist accepts temporary insignificance in exchange for future leverage. This trade-off is difficult for the ego, but valuable for survival. Recognition can wait. Advantage cannot. Eventually, silence must give way to action. When it does, it should be final enough to redefine perception. One decisive move alters status more than 100 arguments. After that moment, blending in is no longer necessary. Authority establishes itself through outcome, not explanation. The world often mistakes stillness for absence. In truth, stillness is preparation. Those who understand this do not rush to be seen. They wait to be effective. Winning is the only language power truly understands. Principles, intentions, and explanations fade quickly, but outcomes remain. When a result is achieved, it reshapes perception, rewrites narratives, and silences opposition. Those who succeed are forgiven for methods that would be condemned in failure. Those who fail are judged harshly, even if their intentions were pure. This is not injustice. It is the natural logic of power. People do not evaluate actions in isolation. They evaluate them through results. Victory reframes behavior as necessary, intelligent, even admirable. Defeat reframes the same behavior as reckless or immoral. This is why survival depends not on moral purity, but on effectiveness. The world does not reward effort. It rewards success. The idea that the end justifies the means is often misunderstood. If one chooses a method, one must ensure it leads to success. Failure invalidates the choice. Power does not excuse incompetence, it punishes Italiano. Every action carries cost. The question is not whether a method is clean, but whether its cost is lower than its benefit. Those who refuse to act because no option is perfect often lose to those who accept imperfect choices. Inaction is also a method, and it carries consequences just as severe. Morality without results becomes performance. It signals virtue but produces no protection. Those who cling to moral appearance while losing ground eventually lose the ability to act at all. Power is not preserved by moral declarations, but by control over outcomes. Winning stabilizes systems. Chaos thrives in uncertainty. Once an outcome is secured, order follows. Rules, ethics, and norms are reestablished after victory. Not before Italiano. History shows that peace is negotiated by winners, not by the defeated. This reality does not celebrate cruelty. It demands clarity. Those who understand it plan carefully. They choose methods proportional to the objective. Excessive force creates unnecessary enemies. Insufficient force invites challenge. Precision is wisdom. Fear of judgment often prevents decisive action. People hesitate because they imagined future criticism. Yet criticism exists, regardless. The difference is whether one stands with power or without it when judgment arrives. Power absorbs criticism. Weakness amplifies it. The world forgives strength quickly. It questions weakness endlessly. This is why leaders are remembered not for how kind they were, but for whether they secured stability. Stability allows morality to function. Instability destroys it. Those who win control narrative. Narrative shapes memory. Memory shapes legitimacy. Once legitimacy is established, past actions are reframed as necessary steps. This is not deception. It is perception responding to outcome. The risk is not using harsh means. The risk is using them without discipline. Indiscriminate action erodes trust and invites retaliation. Strategic action minimizes exposure and maximizes effect. The successful understand restraint as well as force. Winning also creates deterrence. Future challenges diminish when strength is proven. One decisive victory often prevents many conflicts. Those who never assert power invite repeated testing. The burden of choosing means falls on those who seek responsibility. Comfort lies in moral absolutism. Power lies in contextual judgment. Context determines necessity. Necessity determines method. The end justifies the means only when the end is real, secured, and durable. Temporary wins achieved through chaos collapse quickly. True victory creates lasting control. Anything less is failure delayed. Those who reject this reality often believe morality will protect them. It will not. Morality must be protected by strength. Once strength is lost, morality becomes irrelevant. Winning is not about domination for its own sake. It is about survival, stability, and the ability to decide the future. Those who understand this act decisively, accept responsibility, and move forward without apology. The world does not ask how you tried. It asks whether you succeeded. Power is not a fantasy, and it is not a reward for good intentions. It is a reality shaped by understanding human nature, accepting the world as it is, and acting with clarity when others hesitate. Those who survive and rise are not the loudest, the kindest, or the most morally pure, but the most aware, disciplined, and strategic. The world does not bend to hope or fairness. It responds to strength, timing, and results. Those who learn when to blend in, when to strike, when to show mercy, and when to enforce boundaries gain control over their path. Leadership is not granted by approval. It is taken through responsibility and decisive action. To think like Machiavelli is not to abandon values, but to protect them with power. Kindness without strength is fragile. Morality without strategy is defenseless. Only when awareness guides action does stability become possible. In the end, history remembers outcomes, not excuses. Those who understand this do not wait for permission, sympathy, or perfect conditions. They act, they adapt, and they endure.